All right, so we're going to take a deep dive into this whole intelligence tax thing.
Okay.
You sent me some stuff about this a while back.
Uh-huh.
It seemed really interesting, and we've got some excerpts here from a book
Okay.
that was originally written in Chinese.
Yeah.
And the title is Wild.
Oh, yeah.
Intelligence Tax. The smarter you are, the more you lose.
Oh, wow.
Pretty provocative, huh?
It really is, yeah.
It makes you think.
It does. And, the book's introduction, along with forewords by a clinical psychologist
Oh, wow.
and a relationship coach,
Where?
all point to how this intelligence tax thing isn't
Yeah.
just some, abstract idea.
Yeah.
It's something that affects all of us in our daily lives.
Yeah, so we're really talking about
Yeah.
those times where we make purchases and afterwards we kind of feel like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Why did I buy that? I don't even need this.
What was I thinking?
Yeah, and often because of marketing or,
Yeah.
or maybe just our own psychology. Absolutely, yeah.
So this deep dive is all about, sort of shining a light on those traps and helping us all make, hopefully, smarter choices in the future.
Right.
So the book kicks things off with this anecdote about a social media experiment.
Interesting.
And they were comparing a free online community with a paid one.
Okay, so this is a great example of how our intuition about free can sometimes be so off.
Yeah.
The paid community, even though it had that cost,
Right.
was thriving.
Okay.
You had engaged members,
Uh-huh.
high-quality content. People felt like they belonged.
Oh, wow.
The free community basically fizzled out.
Huh.
You had these low-quality interactions. Very little valuable content was being shared.
Yeah.
And people just lost interest really quickly.
That's so interesting to me.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it seems counterintuitive, right?
It does.
You think, oh, free, that's the way to go.
Right.
But sometimes that cost acts as a filter.
Absolutely. Like ensuring that everyone involved is really invested.
Uh-huh.
It makes me think of that.
Yeah.
That's saying if you're not paying for the product,
Right.
you are the product.
Exactly. And think about those free airport shuttle services.
Yeah.
The book uses this as a prime example of how free can be deceptive.
Yeah.
They're often just cleverly disguised marketing schemes to get you to go to certain vendors or whatever.
I have totally fallen for that.
Oh, yeah.
Where you feel like, oh, they're being so nice giving me this free ride.
Uh-huh.
And then I get there and I feel like I'm obligated to buy something.
Right. Or how about free trials
Oh, yeah.
that turn into paid subscriptions
Oh, yeah.
if you forget to cancel?
Oh, man.
The book really dives into how this plays on our fear of loss.
It is, I was going to ask, what's the psychology behind that?
Right.
But the book actually goes deeper
It does.
and talks about the endowment effect,
Yeah.
which is this bias, where we overvalue things that we think we own, even if they were initially free.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
It is.
Think about all those free beauty product samples
Oh, yeah.
that lead to endless sales calls.
Yeah.
You feel like you already own the product, so
Yeah.
you're much more likely to buy the full-sized one.
It's like our brains can't really process the idea that something's truly free.
Right. Yeah.
With no strings attached.
That's right. And that leads us to another point the book explores.
Okay.
This idea of the power of the crowd. Have you ever heard of the Asch conformity experiment?
I have, but for those who haven't,
Yeah.
lay it on us.
So picture this. You're in a group of people,
Okay.
and you're asked to do a simple visual task,
Okay.
matching line lengths.
Yeah.
Seems pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Most of the people in the group
Yeah.
are secretly in on the experiment,
Okay.
and they start giving obviously wrong answers.
Oh, wow.
So the real participant in the experiment
Is now faced with this dilemma.
Yeah.
Do I trust my own judgment
Right.
or do I conform to the group?
Oh, wow.
And the results were pretty shocking.
Yeah, how did it turn out?
A surprisingly high number of people conformed,
Wow.
even though they knew the answer was wrong.
Really?
It just shows how much we crave that sense of belonging
Yeah.
and security.
Right.
And sometimes that means ignoring our own better judgment.
This makes me think about all the times I've bought something
Yeah.
just because it was trendy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
everyone's wearing that, or everyone's doing this. It must be the right thing to do.
Especially in today's world with social media.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's sharing their purchases.
And it's just we're wired to follow the crowd sometimes.
It's like we're programmed to do it.
Even when it comes to,
Yeah.
spending decisions that maybe aren't the smartest.
Right. And speaking of questionable financial decisions,
Oh.
the book also dives into this whole world of gurus and easy success Oh, yeah.
Especially in the financial realm.
This is a classic.
It is.
Like the get-rich-quick schemes.
Yeah.
The promise of, overnight wealth. It never gets old, does it?
It's a tale as old as time, right?
Yeah.
And the book uses this classic example.
Okay.
The original Ponzi scheme.
Oh, yeah, Ponzi. That's where the name comes from.
That's him.
Right.
And his story is just a perfect illustration of how these schemes exploit our desire for easy money.
Uh-huh.
He built this whole empire out of thin air.
Wow.
Promising investors these ridiculously high returns.
Yeah.
But there was no real investment happening.
So how did it actually work?
It was all about deception.
Okay.
And creating an illusion of success.
Uh-huh.
Basically, he was paying off earlier investors with the money from newer investors. Like a financial house of cards.
Yeah.
Just waiting to collapse.
Wow.
And collapse. Millions of dollars vanished. People lost their life savings.
Oh, man.
Ponzi ended up in prison.
It's a classic cautionary tale.
It is. But these schemes still thrive.
They do. And what's fascinating is that the book connects this to a thought experiment called the magic box.
Okay.
Where people are given this box that can magically double any money you put in.
Oh, I think I've heard of this.
But there's a chance the box could explode and destroy everything.
Yeah.
So even though people understand the risk, the potential for those quick riches often overrides logic.
Yeah.
It speaks to the power of this whole intelligence tax idea.
Okay.
This willingness to suspend disbelief, ignore the red flags.
Yeah.
Because the promise of easy success is just so alluring.
So given all this, how do we protect ourselves?
Well, the book offers some practical strategies.
Okay.
And I think we should dive into those next.
Yeah, let's do it. So practical strategies. Let's get into it.
Well, the book really emphasizes two simple yet powerful tools.
Okay.
The 5-minute rule and the essential question.
Okay, I like it. Simple and powerful.
Right.
Break it down for us. All right, so the 5-minute rule is all about creating a space between stimulus and response.
Okay.
So like anytime you're faced with like a tempting offer.
Okay.
Especially if it involves something free.
Right.
Or a deal that seems too good to be true.
Yeah.
You force yourself to wait at least 5 minutes before making a decision.
I can see that being really useful.
Right.
Like those impulse buys.
Exactly.
You see something, you're like, oh, I need that.
Right. You get that initial rush.
Yeah.
And you just got to wait.
Yeah. Give yourself a chance to cool down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the essential question.
Okay.
Before you buy anything, big or small, you ask yourself, do I really need this?
Oh, I like that.
Super simple, but it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Because it cuts through all that marketing noise, all that hype, and helps you focus on your genuine needs.
Yeah. It's a really good mental filter, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Just to avoid buying a bunch of stuff.
Totally. You don't actually need.
And it's interesting how this book kind of connects those ideas of like free and crowd influence to this whole world of like success gurus and self-help programs.
Right.
There's so much pressure in those spaces.
There is.
To buy into a certain method.
Oh, yeah.
Or you'll be left behind.
Like, this is the secret.
Yeah, this is the one thing.
Yeah.
You've got to do this.
Right.
And they often exploit our desire for those like easy answers, those quick fixes.
Right.
Remember the Ponzi scheme?
Yeah.
And one particularly insightful point the book makes is about this allure of free advice.
Okay, so like not necessarily those expensive workshops or seminars.
Not those.
But like the free webinars.
Yeah.
The free online articles that are like, I'm going to reveal the secrets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They promise you the secrets to wealth. Happiness, success.
All of it.
They lure you in with this promise of valuable information.
Yeah. But often the real goal is to upsell you. On something.
On a product.
Right. Coaching package, whatever it might be.
It's kind of like a bait and switch.
It is.
Yeah, you think you're getting something for free.
Yeah, you think you're getting value.
But you end up in like this whole sales funnel.
It's not always malicious, of course.
Right.
Some people genuinely want to help.
Sure, yeah.
But that line can get blurry.
It can, yeah.
Between genuine advice and marketing.
Yeah, and you know what I bet plays a big role in this?
What's that FOMO?
FOMO.
Oh, absolutely.
Fear of missing out.
A huge driver of intelligence tax.
We see other people, seemingly getting amazing results from this program, or this guru or whatever, and we're like, oh, I don't want to miss out on that.
I need that magic formula.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like going back to that social proof.
It is.
If everyone's raving about it,
Yeah.
it must be legit.
Not necessarily. That's why the book says,
Yeah.
be skeptical.
Yeah.
Question those assumptions.
Right.
And really evaluate whether something aligns with your own values and goals.
Yeah, don't just follow the hype.
Exactly.
So to all the listeners out there,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to question those so-called experts.
That's right.
Do your own research. Trust your gut.
Yeah. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for everyone.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
And speaking of doing your research,
Yeah.
the book has some additional tips
Okay.
for navigating this world of information overload.
Oh, this is so relevant.
It is, isn't it?
We're just bombarded constantly with information.
Ads, articles, social media.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
It is. So what do we do about it?
Well, the book suggests becoming more conscious of the information we allow into our mental space.
Okay, so it's not just about being aware of like marketing tactics,
right?
but just like the overall.
Yeah, the quality tone of the information we're consuming.
Yeah, like choosing a healthy mental diet.
That's a great analogy. If you're constantly feeding your mind with like sensationalized headlines or biased opinions, it's going to skew your perspective.
Yeah.
Make it harder to think critically.
Yeah. Okay.
And speaking of critical thinking.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
The antidote to intelligence tax.
That's right.
How do we develop that?
Well, it starts with questioning assumptions.
Okay.
Don't just accept things at face value.
Right.
Especially when it comes to marketing claims or promises of those quick fixes or overnight successes.
So basically, don't believe everything you read online.
Pretty much.
Okay, good advice.
Dig a little deeper. Ask questions.
Yeah.
Look for evidence.
Right.
Does this person actually have the expertise they claim to have? Are there any studies to support this product? You know, be an informed skeptic.
Yeah.
Don't shut down completely.
Right.
But don't blindly accept everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that little bit of extra effort can save you a lot of regret and money down the road.
Yeah, for sure.
And another key aspect of critical thinking is learning to identify biases.
Okay.
Both in ourselves.
Oh, that's tricky.
It is.
Yeah.
And in the information we consume.
Right, because our own biases can be so subtle.
They are.
Yeah.
The book suggests making an effort to just become more aware of our tendencies.
Okay.
Are you someone who is easily swayed by social pressure?
Okay.
Do you fall for those quick fix solutions?
Okay, so once you identify those patterns,
yes,
then you can start to challenge them.
Exactly. It's like knowing your weaknesses.
Right.
So you can avoid the traps.
Yeah, like a video game.
Right.
Okay, so what about identifying those biases in the information?
Yeah, so look for red flags.
Okay.
Is the language overly sensationalized?
Okay.
Are there credible sources cited? Does it present a balanced perspective? Or is it pushing a specific agenda?
So it's like being a detective.
It is.
Yeah.
Looking for clues.
Okay, I like that.
You know, critical thinking is not about being cynical.
Right.
It's about engaging with information in a thoughtful and discerning way.
So not being closed off to new ideas.
Right.
But also not just blindly accepting everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which brings us to another point.
Okay.
Diversify your information sources.
So don't just get all your news from one place.
Exactly. Don't just rely on one expert.
Yeah.
You know, get information from a variety of sources.
Right. It's so easy to get stuck in an echo chamber.
It is,
you know,
these days.
With social media.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
Algorithms.
Yeah.
Showing us what they think we want to see.
Yeah. So it's good to kind of break out of that.
It is.
Yeah.
Expose yourself to different perspectives.
It makes us less susceptible to manipulation too, right?
Absolutely.
If we're hearing all these different sides.
When you're exposed to a range of viewpoints, you're less likely to be swayed by just one persuasive message or a really clever marketing campaign.
So it's about being more informed.
Yeah.
More discerning.
Uh-huh.
Ultimately more in control.
Absolutely.
Of our own decision.
And the book emphasizes this isn't just about protecting ourselves from intelligence tax.
Okay.
It's about becoming better citizens, more discerning consumers, more thoughtful individuals.
You know, this conversation has really kind of broadened my perspective on this whole intelligence tax concept.
Oh, yeah. In what way?
I kind of came into it thinking mostly about, like, avoiding financial pitfalls. Like, you know, saving money and stuff.
Right.
But it's really about so much more than that.
It is.
Yeah, it's really like a mindset.
It's a way of engaging with the world that helps us make choices that are truly aligned with our values.
That's a pretty valuable return on investment.
It is.
Wouldn't you say?
Couldn't agree more.
All right, so one final point.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued by this. The book talks about how our relationship with information is constantly evolving.
It is.
And I think that's super relevant to everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, tell me more about what you're thinking.
It feels like so much of what we've been talking about is about us as individuals, you know, making choices, protecting ourselves from intelligence attacks. But I'm curious, like, what about the bigger picture?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, does this concept have, like, implications for society as a whole?
You know, that is a great question.
Yeah.
And the book actually touches on that a little bit in the conclusion.
Okay.
It argues that all this increasing complexity of information, especially with how fast technology is evolving, it really creates this like breeding ground for manipulation.
Yeah, it makes sense. If we don't have those critical thinking skills, it's like we're just sitting ducks.
Yeah, and it goes back to what we were talking about before with information literacy. Like we need to be teaching people how to think.
Right. Not just what to think.
Exactly. Equip them with the tools.
Yeah.
To actually navigate this crazy information landscape.
It feels more and more important all the time.
It really does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's like we need to move beyond, you know, just memorizing facts. And really focus on, you know, cultivating critical thinking.
Asking questions, evaluating evidence, considering different perspectives.
That's a skill set we all need.
We do. It's becoming essential in the 21st century.
And it's not just about this intelligence tax thing. It's just about being, you know, good citizens.
Informed citizens, discerning consumers. Thoughtful human beings.
What if, like, everyone was more aware of this stuff? You think you could actually, like, create a world
I love that.
That's less susceptible to this manipulation.
I think so.
You know, it's a beautiful idea. You know, realizing that our choices have this ripple effect. And it's about empowering each other. To become more conscious. More responsible.
I think that's a great way to put it. You know, one of the things I thought was really interesting in the conclusion of the book was this emphasis on self-reflection. It's so easy to blame other people, right? He was for like, oh, it's the marketing companies.
These evil corporations.
Or it's those manipulative influencers. But the book really makes this point of like, we have to look inward too.
We do, like examine our own biases, our own motivations.
It's tough.
It is. That's where real growth starts.
The book actually has this suggestion.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Make it a regular practice. Like maybe set aside a few minutes every week to just kind of think about your habits.
Your spending habits.
The information you're taking in.
How much time am I spending on social media?
Or my choices.
Am I being influenced?
Are they really aligned with your values?
You know, it's like a mental checkup.
That's a great way to put it. Like a little course correction. Make sure you're staying true to yourself.
And it's not about being perfect.
No.
You know?
We all make mistakes.
We all slive up.
We do.
But the point is...
But that self-awareness and that critical thinking can help us be more resilient.
And make choices that really benefit us.
Absolutely.
You know, and the world around us.
Oh, well said.
Well, I think this is a good place to wrap up.
I agree.
This has been a really thought-provoking conversation.
It has.
Thanks for joining me and sharing your expertise.
My pleasure.
And for all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into intelligence tax.
Keep those questions coming.
We hope you learned some stuff that'll help you make better choices in the future.
Make those informed decisions.
All right, until next time, stay curious and stay vigilant.
And stay skeptical.